came out, the DVD is coming out on December 10th. 3A will be available, so you're gonna snatch that up. And also, shameless plug here, you can vote for Teen Wolf to win the TV Guide magazine Fan Favorites Cup. You go to our Facebook page and you vote for Teen Wolf. And if they win, they get the cover. And if they get the cover, I probably get to write it. So hook a brother up, okay? Alright, now we're going to bring out our panel and get to the awesomeness. Let me bring them out! First we have Dylan O'Brien. Jeff Davis. First off, we have a bit of an announcement to make. When the new season begins on January 6, 2014, Teen Wolf will now be followed by a special new show called Wolf Watch. And this is a half-hour talk show. It'll air weekly after each episode, hosted by Jill Wagner. It will give fans insights into the hit series, including topics ranging from the heavy mythology elements featured in the series to the romances and bromances and behind-the-scenes secrets of the episodes. It will also feature celebrity guest appearances, cast members, and super fans. So, alright, what do you guys think?
I love it. It's really cool because Breaking Bad and Walking Dead has done it, and Talking Bad. I think it's great to see different perspectives on the show. It gives another experience for the fans. I'm a fan of those shows myself, and I'm always finding myself looking online to see what people talk about it and what they're saying. So I think it'll be really fun with fans. I hope you guys like it.
Alright, and Jeff, I think you have another announcement to make?
Yes, we have a very big announcement that we're all very happy about. We're going to announce season 4. We are going to be doing another 12 episodes of the show. It's not going to be as big an order as season 3, and that's entirely my fault. I begged the network for a break, and they said they allowed us to do 12 episodes for the 4th season, so there will be very likely more episodes after that, but for now we're going to keep it at 12 and see how you guys like it, and hopefully do the best job we can. But there will be more Teen Wolf to come. So,
Jeff needs to sleep.
I was up till 2 in the morning last night trying to finish an outline.
And I think after what 3B is bringing to us, we might all need a break to just recover from what you're doing to us in the next half.
3B is going to be quite an experience.
Oh.
Yes.
You know what's funny is I live a lot of time on the East Coast, and suddenly and I wake up early, and Jeff knows I wake up early, and I'll get a text, and I'm up at 6 in the morning, 5:30, and he's in LA, and I'm like, what are you doing awake? He's like, I don't know, I'm writing.
Plotting death.
I can't sleep.
Alright, so before we go on any further, we've got a special exclusive sneak peek at an upcoming episode. It features a certain someone sitting to my left. Good taste of where the next half of the season is going, so let's run that. What is going on?
What the hell is that about? Well, when we pitched this half of the season to the network, we told them we did a lot of action in the first part in 3A. There were a lot of stunts, there were a lot of new characters, there was a lot of werewolf fights, and what we always want to try something new with this show, and we always want to challenge ourselves creatively. So we actually said we're going to be doing a little bit more of a psychological thriller this season. So Some of our characters from the events of last season, they're going to be a little off kilter. They're not going to be quite the same. So you're going to see a few surprises.
So you've changed Beacon Hills, but you've also changed our protectors of Beacon Hills.
Yes, exactly. You're going to find out that what they did, those surrogate sacrifices at the end of season 3A, has left a mark on them, and not necessarily a good one. And this scene actually is a big clue as to what happened.
Okay. And you let slip or told us at San Diego Comic-Con that 3B will feature some shapeshifters and some
Yes,
mythology.
we always love to bring in our new creatures and our new bad guys, and the new mythology for this season has to do with the Japanese kitsune myth. And there's
Big fans.
it's a phenomenal mythology to mine for new creatures, new powers, new abilities, and new characters as well. We have some really good new actors coming in. Arden Cho, I think, is going to be amazing. She brings a new energy to the show and a new mystery as well.
Any other new characters you can talk to us about?
Let's see. New characters. I'd love to talk about our existing characters too, but Arden's probably the biggest new character. Her parents are going to be important roles as well. We just hired a good friend of mine, Ryan Kelly, to play the new deputy in the show, Deputy Parrish, who's going to be doing a lot of scenes with Lyndon. And there's going to be a strong relationship, a kind of mentor relationship built in there. And now that Lyndon's character, Swinsky, is abreast of all the supernatural goings on, he's going to find that he has to keep that secret within his own department as well. So that's a new danger for him.
Okay, so I have to ask this now, because you brought up the parent stuff. You've made a really concerted effort to bring the parents into really important roles in the characters' lives. Is there any chance of getting Sheriff Styles together with Scott's mom?
We debate this quite a bit. We've talked about it a lot.
Don't debate it, just leave it.
Chemistry on screen. What's funny is, have you guys been in stuff before? You were in the Gates, and you were both in the
Yeah, we didn't work together.
Okay.
We did one other thing together, and it was a little strange, but we've known each other.
So next week. Well, we debated in the writers' room, and we are definitely heading down a certain path with those characters. So you'll see more scenes with them. I think it's going to be really fun. Both Melissa and Lyndon get far more involved this season, and it's great to see these characters grow alongside their children. And what we've always tried to do with these, with the parent-child, parent-teenager relationship on the show, is create one that's. I never really liked, say, the Nightmare on Elm Street vibe, where the girl was always trying to convince the parents, and the parents were like, "Oh, you crazy kids," you know? It just makes the parents seem stupid. And I had a great relationship with my parents, and I wanted to reflect that on screen. So they were really important to be characters to me, and it's something that I think the Harry Potter books and movies do really well. Like Dumbledore is just as fascinating a character to me as Harry and Hermione.
So we are big fans of Japanese shapeshifters and elderly Hogwarts. This is your demo. All right, so talking about family here, we love the Stolinskis. Was, when we first met them in the pilot, like, he was the knucklehead, he was the embarrassed dad, you know, and over the course of 3 seasons, it's really developed into, like, you know, he saved his dad's life, you know. How does that work with these two? Like, what was casting these guys like? How do you put this family together?
Well, we cast Dylan before Lyndon, and Lyndon was a local in Atlanta, and going to Atlanta, we needed do a certain number of local hires to be able to get the tax credit. There's a lot of business involved with some of these decisions. To be surprised how many casting decisions are made by a certain amount of business requirements. And we found out Lyndon was in Atlanta. And I said, he's in Atlanta, let's get Lyndon. And he auditioned for us. And I was like, he doesn't have to audition, he's perfect. It's Johnny Cage. Mulcahy before on Resident Evil, and what was amazing though is you cast people and you hope they have a certain amount of chemistry on screen, but when you see them for the first time and there's this instantaneous bond, what happens is you write towards that. And scenes like the scene outside the garage where
And I'm like, hey, you're kind of cutting into my time. But it's been such a pleasure to watch, you know, Tyler and Dylan grow up. You know, the first time we met was at the table read, you know, for the pilot. Oh, yeah, it's awesome. And I go, hey, you guys want to go out and get a beer afterwards? You know, and they're like, bro, we can't drink. Wow. And then I realized how young they were. And it's funny because they're the same age as my daughter, as Grace, and Savannah's a little bit younger. But you are not, neither one of you are the same person that you were when we started this. And it's like they've become these men. And it's amazing.
and they just get better looking, don't they?
Yeah. But it's amazing to watch because they started out as good people and they've stayed good people, really good people. And that's what I think the most. Yeah, I love them. You know?
And I would say this also, having dealt with a lot of actors in my career, he is actually one of the nicest guys ever. And his mother's here, and she deserves so much credit for raising such a good guy. Because young actors can really suck.
Hey, Mom.
Dylan walked in and we were sitting down today and we were drinking a cup of coffee and Dylan comes down the lobby and goes, oh, my real mom and my fake dad.
All right, so I have to ask this question because this has been posed a couple times online. Styles is one of the only people who doesn't have a supernatural power. But what we saw in the finale is, it kind of made me think, does he not have supernatural powers because he's actually just a hero in his own right?
Well, I've talked about this before, and I've always kind of said that Styles needs to remain a kind of a grounding, a mortal grounding for the show. Everyone around him has superpowers. He can remain the one who's human, but he does have a kind of superpower of his own. His intellect, his courage, and I think people, normal human beings, with that kind of spectacular fearlessness and the ability to run into danger with only the thought that they're going to save their friends and the people they love, that's a superpower of its own. And I think that is one of the greatest things about Styles is he will do anything to save his friends. It's kind of it's a nice message to have in a show that doesn't really try to pound you with messages. So, but you're going to see some very interesting things happen this season to all of our characters. Whether they become supernatural or whether the supernatural gets its grip on them.
So we talked briefly about possibly getting the sheriff some attention. In the final scene, because there's got to be other teachers at that school too that aren't like demon women.
Most of them are dead by now.
That's true.
They're all substitutes and they're all terrified.
So the end left us with some pairings that were, I mean, it was nice, but you know, man, Scott and Styles walking down the hallway alone, And the girls with other dudes. What's up?
There's always opportunities for new romance in high school, so we're going to be testing the waters with that. I think Scott is going to find himself. The interesting thing about Tyler Posey's character now is he may have achieved a certain status as an alpha, but he'll find himself back to being a beginner when it comes to high school romance and all the trials and tribulations of getting through the day in high school.
What about Styles?
Styles has...
Because apparently he's really popular. I came out.
Well, who would the fans like to see Styles with? Everybody?
Right there. Yeah.
I think Styles' girlfriend's gonna have to come from outside of the show, honestly. It's not working.
I will tease this though, and I am a big tease. Styles loses a certain status. Loses a certain badge of honor known to teenagers.
Let's get to the dirty
Online that's happened numerous times.
This has happened like 9 times during this panel. Let's talk about Derek. Is it? What are we doing with Derek? This is, I mean, he's leaving town, now his sister's on Rain, so he's gotta come back.
Derek will return. It's true. We gotta get him to do more. Actually, the first time you see him, it is. It's a bit of a. Well, we love to. Hecklin's got a great physique, so. You'd be surprised. Hopefully, you'll be surprised how we first meet him in 313, the first episode of the
That is actually one of the questions I got on Twitter was, why do you continually put him in clothes? If the Alpha Twins had to take their shirts off to morph, why doesn't he just strip down forever?
Well, you know, actually, I have a kind of a beef with this because I actually see the marketing campaign for Arrow. Where did they get that? But the whole shirtlessness thing actually came out of it didn't come out of an idea to exploit our young actors, which but it came out of Russell Mulcahy and I trying to decide, well, what do these werewolves look like? And
Without the shirt on.
Do we make them like the Incredible Hulk, where they're only wearing their torn pants and the rest of them is fur? And when we were doing our initial designs, we knew that we didn't want the classic furry werewolves because that just didn't sound all that sexy.
So, I'll be Russell.
It's a little thicker than that.
So, no shirts, right?
That's his idea. It became a thing.
Yeah? They don't know Russell, so they don't think it's funny. Yeah, that must be.
Imagine a thick Australian accent. But Hecklin and we're gonna have some really fun scenes with Derek and Peter actually. They're an evolving relationship, and you're gonna learn a lot of new things about them. And what's fun about Derek's character is he's actually. When you talk about character arcs within the season, he's the guy who I feel like has changed the most from the first season. We brought him up to the status of alpha. It was a bad decision, and then we tore him down, and then we tore him down some more. And now what's going to be really fun is I've talked to him about this season at length. because Hecklin is the kind of actor who really wants to know everything so that he can prepare really well. And I told him we're going to make Derek a real hero this season. He's going to rise to, he may not have the alpha status, but he's going to rise to that status emotionally and psychologically and with his actions. So he's going to become, he made the promise to Scott in the first episode, we're brothers now, well he's going to become that brother in the greatest of possible ways.
And where does that leave Styles? I mean, Styles and Scott are brothers.
Well, Styles is going to be caught in the middle of
Just a piece of meat.
That's still, where's Styles headed? I mean, Styles still has the great funny lines, but he's going to have a bit of a more, as you've seen in this clip, he's going to have a bit of a more emotional arc this season, dealing with memories as well, and people he's lost.
Okay, then all right, so let's talk about that right now. We saw some great flashbacks last season. Have you considered doing flashbacks to his family stuff?
Yes.
Like, are we going to meet the mom?
I have considered it. As to whether you'll meet the mom, that remains to be seen. I don't want to give that away, but you will learn a lot more about her, including how she died.
Stop breaking my heart! It hurts!
Who wants my mom to play the mom?
It's funny, the pictures in his room of his childhood.
Oh yeah. I have pictures of my mom. Oh.
Yeah.
All right, Dylan, we know that you and Tyler and Holland and you guys like all run around, you party, have your fun and all that stuff. What are the grown-ups like on set? Or off set?
Yeah, what do you guys like?
It works.
I go.
And I'm always too drunk to even know what he's doing. I questioned whether or not to make that joke, and then I did it, and now I'm like regretting it. So there's that. They're just as fun as like everyone else in the show. That's what's so cool about the Adult Center show. I mean, they're like great actors, great people, and just like, you know, also really fun. I mean,
Oh,
Lonza, oh my god.
She is hilarious. She is
awesome.
salty.
Okay. She was certain she was going to die last season.
Oh, that was hilarious. No. We're in the root cellar, and she's like, I know they're gonna kill me.
She's probably sitting there thinking, I'm not going to make that appearance.
She goes, no, think about it. My ex-husband just came in town, and you know they don't need me, and I'm doing this other show, and kill me. They love you. They're not gonna kill you. Did Jeff tell you that he was gonna kill you? She's like, no, but he doesn't always tell people. Oh, come on. Really?
I forgot to tell one person once.
Nothing like being an actor and you're reading the script.
It was Jill Wagner. She knew. I'm like, you're the bad guy. You don't think you're gonna make it out of this, do you?
That's not the only time you did it. What was it? Yeah, he didn't tell her either. She's like, you son of a bitch. Yeah, she was cool and she had a good death scene, but it.
I did. I went up to her at lunch and I said, sorry we have to kill you.
Nice.
He didn't hit their body.
Dylan, it's been mentioned a couple times that you have grown up before our eyes on the show. What has been the most fun for you playing Styles so far?
Every single thing about it. I could not have asked for a better first character to play in my career. I love Styles inside and out. I'm going to be heartbroken. I've said it before when the show's over. It's very close to me. And like, you know, I'm just going to be really proud for the rest of my life that this was my first role.
your first role that doesn't seem to be failing you much is you spent some time this summer working on something else, correct?
Yes, Maze Runner. You guys know Maze Runner? You guys know? Cool. That's so awesome. That makes me happy. Beyond the year. Sorry, got pushed.
But you survived filming.
Yeah. I don't know how. That was one of the few things I've done in my life where I literally finished it and I was like, I don't know how I got through that alive. Seriously, which is cool. It's a good experience. Makes you tough.
And
Makes
you're
you
like,
strong.
oh, I'm so happy to go back to Teen Wolf
Yeah, I know.
and let Hecklin do the push-ups.
We were hoping he was going to come back and say that, because he's the lead of the movie, and you're probably working every single day, right? 14 hours a day.
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
And we were sitting there thinking, he's going to love us now.
I have so many scars from it.
Oh my God.
It's so nice.
But it's amazing to see the actors grow. I mean, he's becoming a movie star now. There was a point where we were working on the schedule because we were trying to finish the last few episodes, and there was a question of, is he going to be able to do the movie and the show, or can the question comes up for the network and for the production, can we let him out to do the show, to do the movie? And I said, we have to let him out to do this movie. He's going to be the star of the movie, for God's sake. So that's why you have a scene where he's unconscious in a car for 5 hours. But it was actually pretty good for the episode.
It really worked.
I gotta tell you, it's the first time we worked together. I came home and I said, "Well, this kid who's playing my son, he's got it. He is something special." And Susan's like, "Really? Who is it?" And I go, "It's this kid named Dylan, and so talented." And you can't learn it in a school. You can't, I could teach someone to have a craft, but you can't teach talent. And it's amazing. And it's such a pleasure to work with him.
You really have taken this character who on paper could have been like the sassy sidekick.
Yeah.
Like, we love this dude. So he's not like the annoying guy who shows up and you're like, oh, this guy's gonna screw up everything. So for Dylan and Lyndon, what are the hardest kinds of scenes to film? This is from Morella on Facebook, on Twitter.
Anything where I have to run these days is kind of hard. Bad ankle. Yeah, I'm gonna take that.
I don't know. I don't know. When I first started acting, I was really inexperienced and I guess comedy was like my natural instinct. So that's kind of easy for me. And I guess over the course of the last few years, it's been the drama that's always been like, something challenging to me and that I've wanted to get better at, and that's like the thing that I've actually had to learn how to do. I think it's in you, it's in you. Just like it's weird bringing it out. You don't really want to be emotional or anything in front of people. Or that's me. Maybe just me. I don't know. Am I insane?
No.
All right. Man, so that's probably the most challenging for me. Anything.
Yeah, I would think that for me it would be the exact opposite. It's like, the comedy is hard, and so I just kind of, I just riff off him. I do your thing, and I'll sit here.
All right, so which of the two of you is the first to crack up?
Oh, me. Yeah.
Crack up what?
I do. Yeah, we do. We laugh a lot.
Do you guys act with it at all?
Yeah.
Has any of that made it onto the screen?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Plenty of ad libs have made it onto the screen. Some of the more famous lines, I think, from the show are Dylan's own. There's certain parts of the script that I have to have just right, and it can feel to an actor, it can feel like they're being pushed into a compartment and be pressed and not given any freedom. But there's other parts where it's like, no, you make a choice. Go for a choice here, and it's sometimes far better than what I thought it would be. I remember when Lydia and Styles had the kiss last season, and I said to them about the kiss. I said both be kind of surprised that you just kissed each other, but they brought a different level of emotion to it, and they just kind of went there, and it was. I said, "Oh, glad you went far further because it's much better. It's much better than I imagined it would be." It was a great moment.
Amazing.
So that's when the actors take over, and they allow the character to tell them what to do. And for me as a writer, with this season, I mean, a lot of times when we plan out a season, we know exactly what the last scene is going to be. We know all the beats, and we're just trying to find our way within that map, trying to get to that destination. Someone like Vince Gilligan of Breaking Bad says, my favorite TV show of all time. He says they have no idea where they're headed when they sit down to write, and they find their way and they let the characters guide them. We're trying to do that a little bit more with the winter season. We have vague ideas of what the last few episodes are like. I still actually do know what the very last moment of the season is, and I told it to Lyndon, and he loves it.
It's great.
We're gonna have some really big cliffhangers at the end of this season, and not everyone is coming back.
All right. So then we're gonna ask this now. All right, we had the kiss. We're still loving the kiss. The kiss was amazing. Then you have them at the end. Lydia's with him. Right? Okay. So, and we had their faces after the kiss. We're all like, oh my god, we didn't realize it finally. And the Carvers just signed to do that HBO series, The Leftovers. So, I mean, what's up? Come on, this is like, we've waited.
Max
We've
and
waited
Charlie. Well, I'm very proud for Max and Charlie.
yeah, congratulations. But you're standing in the way of Lydia and Styles.
They are the nicest guys in the world.
The best
They bring so much to the set. They're such pros, and they're such great guys to be around.
I like it when they fight each other.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great. Suddenly they become two brothers.
Yeah, two shut up. You knocked my mark, Max. Shut up, Charlie.
Actually, it's funny because we did a screen test with them before we cast them, and they actually started doing that. And I remember Christian Taylor and I, my co-executive producer, who's one of the writers and one of our best writers, and he's also a director in Motel California last season. We were standing there watching them fight, and we were like, uh-oh. Are they gonna do this on the show? do they like each other?
Are they difficult to work with?
Yeah. But this they have I think their contract is 7 out of 10 for the show, so for the HBO show, which they're gonna be amazing in. But we might not do it. We'll see.
I'm not saying kill them, but at least, you know.
They both said it's not going to
Send
kill
what
us,
they can.
because we can come back.
Because it's been like, we're inching up on 4 years now. You saw the reaction to the kids. We want what we want. So have you and Holland talked about this?
Yeah, me and Holland love Lydia and Styles, but we love, we also love how Jeff is handling it so far. We love. We don't want to be together in the second season, and then it's where do you go from there? So it's
You go to prom. You go back to Hotel California.
Definitely a narrative pleasure to be had for the will they or won't they thing. I mean, I was a huge X-Files fan, and Mulder and Scully were, to me, they had such amazing chemistry. And in this show, Lydia and Styles have sort of become a Mulder and Scully type relationship. They're sort of dual. They're the smartest people in the room all the time, and they're figuring stuff out. And does that bring them closer and closer, or is it a different kind of relationship that evolves? I think it's a relationship that's definitely evolving, and we're going to see how it goes.
That's a great answer.
Lyndon,
Yeah.
this is not your first time dealing with werewolves. As we know, you were on the Gates.
Yeah.
You were also on Fox's short-lived show Werewolf. As victim number 2 in VW.
You know what? That's hilarious. That was one of my first jobs in Hollywood, and I was with an actress named Gail O'Grady. And we're in this VW and like coming on a date or something, and the werewolf comes through and gets me. And I learned an important lesson in that they're like, okay, what we're gonna do is we're gonna blow out the windshield. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. And so they put the plastic explosive up here and they're like, yeah, don't worry, it's fine. Boom! Blows holes through the jacket, through my face, through everything. And I'm just sitting there bleeding going, that sucked. And since then, whenever you're dealing with pyrotechnic guys, and they go, now the explosion's gonna be this big, it's like, it's gonna be this big. You actually look over at them before they trigger the explosion, they're like this around.
We each have 3 fingers missing.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, I did a movie called Wyatt Earp a long time ago, and I'm in the gunfight at the OK Corral, and they're supposed to, I get shot in the shoulder, and I've got 2 guns, and I'm shooting here, and they pop the squib here, right? And I go back like that. Instead, I go here, and they pop the squib, and it comes up and just peels the whole side of my face off. I mean, like, you ever have one of those burns where it's just like, there's not even bleeding, it's just the clear stuff is coming out? And the director's going, can you get makeup on that? Can you get back in? And I'm like, no, we're trying to put makeup on it, won't stick, it's all bad.
And we didn't see the end of his career.
Yeah. So how has dealing with werewolves on TV differed, now?
Well, that was like a first of all, the windshield blew out, and then it was like some stuffed wolf head on a stick, and they rammed it. And literally, it was on a stick, and they banged this head through, and then they like this. And here's the head, and they go. So yeah, it got better.
Yeah. All right, Dylan, one last question before we go to the audience questions, so you guys want to start lining up. What have you learned from working with the Actually, let's change that. What have you learned from the 2 minutes?
Again, it's just like, it's gonna sound so, cliche, but like, I couldn't have asked. But hey guys, hang on, just important cute stuff. Cute stuff about Jeff Lyndon, as a professional veteran actor, for me to work with and like get to learn from and be in scenes with and just learn how to be not just like an actor on set, but like in scenes and acting with people and being with people just in real life and being a person. Like he literally talks to me about everything and he gives me advice about everything. I'll listen to him talk my ear out and I absorb it all because he's like one of the best guys I know. And Jeff too. The 2 guys that work ethic, first of all. I mean, Jeff doesn't sleep. It's literally why we have to cut the season in half next season, because he works around the clock to make the show. And he is the entire show. The entire thing comes from his head. And, I can't write it. That's true. But it's Jeff. I mean, God, it's Jeff. And like, I want to direct and I want to write, and I want to do these things. And so like, having Jeff, who knows about writing, directing, like filmmaking, storytelling, and acting. I mean, like, this guy was my first showrunner that I ever worked with, and to just be able to get all those things from him for the past 3 years and more,
And we've actually started talking about Dylan directing.
We'll see.
All right, let's go to some questions right over here.
Hello.